Thursday afternoon here at Kerry, Darlington National Park.
Yeah?
Campsite.
Part of Burgess Parklands or whatever?
Darlington and Burgess campsite. Down here, just south of Beaudesert, about 20 minutes drive from the Kerry Road.
Yeah, so what brings us to this little spot in it? Well, adventure, mate, so cheers. And we'll definitely say there's no sponsors for this show, but this is episode 1 of the Bike Shed.
The Bike Shed.
The Bike Shed. Now, what's that got to do with camping? Well, we'll discuss all of that
in the future.
It's part of adventure. So let's just say the camping is part of adventure, and motorbiking is part of adventure. But the Bike Shed is here to talk about motorbikes. So we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Dion.
And I'm Michael.
And as you can tell from my accent, I'm a South African. And as you can tell from Michael's accent, he's a born-bred Aussie, true blue.
Pretty much.
And so, Mike, I've written down a few things here in it while we were having our afternoon snooze.
Siesta?
Our siesta. And I thought, okay, well, let's first, we introduce ourselves and first talk about what brought us about to motorbiking. So what brought you around to motorbiking?
Necessity for travel to work. Also always had a bit of a fascination about motorcycling. My father had a small Honda, a Honda 175, I think it might have been back in the day.
Right.
I basically got on that and rode that as a very young person. The local park was times we could do that. Probably wasn't right, but there was no police around. It wasn't so bad. But that was the 70s and 80s. But and basically now I just, more than anything, I ride it to and from work as I get parking, and when you meet good people, you go out for rides and discover new places.
Cheers on that.
Yeah.
meeting new people in it, and that's what I think is number one thing about motorbiking. So, your total biking experience is now how many years?
Well, I'm thinking it's got to be close to 8 years, probably.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I'd say around there.
Right.
And that's from having my learners to an RE license, then an RE to an R license.
So not from your previous years. This is talking about now.
This is just on the bike riding. Probably even before I had a license, having a little 125 scooter, 400 scooter to 650 scooter to now an Africa Twin.
Right.
Adventure bike.
Excellent. Yeah, so I've got the Honda Rebel, but my story is a little bit different maybe. And this is why we also want to tell, you out there, biking is ageless.
Absolutely.
I started biking in it, more riding my sister's little moped or whatever she had, little pedal thing with you still had the paddles as well, so you can pedal it as well if you wanted to. Yeah. So I scooted around with that thing. That started the love in it with it. I did cycling for many years. And then the scootering and riding other people's motorbikes, up to a 1100 Katana.
Nice.
And the Suzuki both put the love of motorbiking in me, but also the this thing is fast and can kill you.
Yeah.
And so I am now riding a Honda Rebel. And recently got my open license. Well, when I say open license, my RE open, which means I'm still on the restricted. I can't ride more than 650, is it?
650 cc?
Yeah.
Or thereabouts.
Yeah, but the Honda Rebel that everyone talks about as a lamb's bike. And what that means in Australia and it is basically a bike that's approved for riding that's under 600.
Anything up to 50 cc's you can ride here in Queensland on your car licence.
Yeah. Now, I was introduced in it to the way they do it in Australia. First of all, I should say many years ago I was introduced in the way that they do it in Greece or Spain. Okay, you show your car driver's license you hire a motorbike and you get on it and they wish you good luck.
Break a leg.
Yeah, break a leg. But the Aussie way in it is a case in it of doing your 2-day learner license course, and I can honestly say it was the best thing that I've done, because if you just get on a bike and just hit the open road, I think your chances of killing yourself is pretty good.
Very much so.
When you do the course in it, they're teaching you about safety first, and that's definitely
looking for hazards before you get to them.
Exactly, and it's definitely a topic that I wanted to discuss with the intro session of the Bike Shed, because safety is number one. Right? We all want to get home. Whilst adventure on biking in it is really good, we all want to get home, and that's the important thing.
Yeah. Home is where the heart is.
Exactly.
Not the side of the road.
Exactly. And so the course was really, really good. You learn to brake, you learn to make U-turns, you learn to slow ride, you learn to do sudden braking, you learn to do head checks. Really important.
Yeah.
And they drill that into you in it, and I think the fundamentals in it I can definitely not complain about.
And definitely shalom riding is very good.
Yeah.
So you're riding around, whether it's potholes in the road, whether it's some
dead wombat
incident, whatever on the road,
a skippy,
you can motor around it safely.
a wallaby.
Yeah.
You
don't want one of those.
Our favourite topic, potholes.
Yes, potholes.
It's not just Africa that's got potholes. Okay?
Or Canada.
There are lots of potholes.
But Australia.
It's the indigenous species around the world.
Yes.
So yeah, potholes in it, but you do come to them suddenly in it. So they teach you not in the first part in it. I was asking premature questions in the first course in it about counter steering in it. But counter steering is really when you got a little bit more sort of experience in it.
Yes.
So the follow up in it to the learner's license is another 1-day course. 1-day course? Yes, it was a 1-day course. Yeah.
You did, yes, Saturday.
And you do the full 1 day again in it, and you go into a bit more advanced strategies in it. You pick up on the speed. They make you do U-turns in it on a really angled road in it, which teaches you how you slow down the motorbike, balancing at the same time, and it is making a U-turn in it. So it's important things to learn whilst you're out on the open road, because there's going to be nobody there holding your hand.
Absolutely.
So overall, I would say on the safety aspect in it, absolutely 100%. I enjoyed every part of it. Yes, it cost a few $100, but for me, like an old bloke in it on a returning motorbiking in it, I can't fault it. I really cannot fault it. So well done, Australia. You think you're doing the right thing. And at the end of the day, like all the trainers were saying at the safety course as well, they want people to get home. They want people to get home alive. Right?
We all do, even our families.
Exactly.
Everybody will tell you motorcycling's dangerous. Everything's dangerous.
Everyone's going to tell you.
Everything. Sitting here around the campfire is dangerous. But,
snakes is dangerous.
Yeah.
But, if you take the safety aspects in it into consideration when you ride the bike, that's what I'd like to promote with this program as well. I'd like to say, if you're the loony driving 100 k's an hour and through cars and thinking that lane splitting is good at that speed, you're going to end up coming off.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
If you're the loony speeding around mountain passes in it and taking corners so you go, ooh, that was close, well, one day it's going to be too close. Okay, so we talked about sort of a brief intro in it on what we have as biking experience. And you and I are going to do some adventure riding as well.
Yeah.
So we can cover in the episodes in it what we do for adventure riding and what we recommend to people, and that could be anything from things we fit to the bike to gadgets.
All the gadgets sitting.
Yeah. I'm kind of known as Inspector Gadget at work, so definitely can talk about lots of gadgets and things that we do to the bikes in it, maintenance wise and everything. So we talked about our biking experience briefly. We talked about the type of bikes that we ride, which is very different. You've got the African Twin.
Yeah, adventure sports.
At adventure sports, so it's sort of in between everything. It's got the power, it can go on the motorway, it's fast, it's
good long distance bike.
Yeah.
Good off the road bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only as good as the rider though.
Absolutely.
And I'm no professional.
Yeah. Well, Mike has become my riding buddy in it, and I suggest to anybody thinking out there in it, if you want to get onto biking in it, is get yourself a riding buddy. I'm lucky to have met Mike. Get yourself somebody that is around about the same age, I would recommend, because they're going to think alike.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you're a young bloke, just heed, okay? Don't pick someone who wants to kill himself.
Yeah.
Because you're going to end up killing yourself.
Yeah.
Stick with
Don't be
someone.
part of somebody else's misery.
Yeah. I've watched a million biking videos on YouTube literally before I got my bike even. And everything came to the same point. Everyone on there in it, that's famous in it on the YouTube world and it with biking is saying the same thing. Ride your own ride.
That's right. Yeah. Ride your own ride. You don't have to keep up with anybody.
Yeah.
If you're riding with somebody, they'll always keep you in their either rear mirrors or
they'll sit behind you and keep you in the side.
Keep you in their eyesight.
Yeah.
And try, if you can, have a first aid course done. Have a certificate in first aid.
I think that's very important as well.
Always handy, especially if you're out somewhere. And the ambulance are going to take a long time to get you, or a helicopter's going to take a long time to get you. You have some knowledge of what to do.
Exactly. I'm an electrician from sort of my trade life as well, and we are having to do compulsory CPR and compulsory LV recovery from someone when they electrocuted. However, I will still say I'd like to go and do a course in it to learn how to do a tourniquet and something like that or whatever, because you don't want to be bleeding out on the side of the road. If you come across an accident, you can help someone and to stop them from bleeding out on the side of the road. Yeah. I think that's
the best thing you can use is your belt. Tighten it above the injury, not too tight, but tight enough to try and stop the blood. But you don't want to cut the circulation off of it. Yeah. Right. And of course, that's only for a small period of time until emergency services get there.
Yeah.
Then they will take over.
Yeah. It's not a topic for this time around. I did bring some radios with, so we're going to play around with some radios in it while we're camping here and just to sort of see. But when we're going adventuring, we're also going to have some two-way radios.
Yeah.
They are really cheap to buy in it on AliExpress or Temu or whatever in it, right? So I got some Baofeng radios in it that are plenty strong, handheld radios, pre-program all the channels in it, so I can just have it in my pocket. If I'm out in the middle of nowhere and I haven't got a phone signal, I've got a radio on. So we'll definitely do an episode.
And if you're not into those because you think they're bad because they're made in China or wherever else, go and buy yourself some Unidec or some GME. Spend the money if you want to spend the money and you have that money to spend.
So while we're on the topic of communications in it, I've got a Bluetooth comms in it on my helmet. You've got one as well, no?
I've got Bluetooth comms on all my helmets.
Yeah. We've tried that a little bit, no?
Yeah. Not too bad for about 50 metres in the city.
Yeah.
Might be different on the highway where there's longer stretches of nothing in between and no traffic and no buildings.
Yeah.
There may be a little different.
There's some of them that now claim, several thousand meters in it, in between line of sight, of course.
Yes.
Now, I will say, do your research there. There are makes in it, which I'm not going to mention right now, but there are makes in it on the market and that obviously do better than others.
Yes.
But we've tried the communications in it. It wasn't too bad, but I would say we did that in slow traffic in it. And if you start doing it at higher speeds in it, then depending on the noise in your helmet in it, you're probably not going to hear it anyway.
And the other thing is, the one that never fails is hand signals.
Exactly.
Hand signals, as long as you all know what the hand signals mean, or at least have some idea of what the person is trying to say, that's fantastic, and that helps a lot. Point to the fuel tank if you need fuel. Hand on your head if you know something's ahead that you might be worried about. And of course, put your leg, if you're coming along to an obstacle and it's on the road and it's on your left hand side as you're riding, push your left leg out and your right hand up, or vice versa. And that way, that person will look down that line and see that there's an object there to avoid.
Yeah, the old leg out, you know, to show that there's something there.
Absolutely.
And you've done, I know that you're very good with hand signals as well. You're always telling me as well. There's a
tap on the head. If there's something ahead that you might be a bit worried about.
Might be a little bit of flash for cash.
A bit hard to comb your hair. Just keep smiling as you ride through it.
Now, coming back to the topic in it of, you know, safety and should you be riding? Because there are probably some people who are going to watch this program and go, should I be riding?
Have I got the right frame of mind?
Have I got the right frame of mind and whatever? Now, I can't talk for you, but I'll talk for myself. I'm at a turning guy, you know, almost the big 60. Getting back on motorbiking in it, and some people saying he's having a midlife crisis. Well, it's too late for the midlife crisis. But I'm back.
About 40.
Yeah,
we're past that.
And I'm back on riding in it. So why do I think riding is great? Well, come on. If you've been on a motorbike before, wind through, you know, hitting your chest, and you're just out there in the freedom, the acceleration of the bike as well, and when you just pull away. Feeling alive, being in the moment. Because you have to be in the moment when you ride your bike. You have to be absolutely, you know, focused on what you're doing. And so for me personally, it's that feeling of the freedom and adventure in it. And I could at any time, you know, I say any time, we like fair weather.
We prefer fair weather.
Yeah,
but if we're out and it starts to rain, we ride.
We ride, right? So you need to learn to ride in the dry and the wet, but the wet becomes a lot more tricky, right?
Yeah.
But in short in it, we cannot answer for you whether you want to ride or not. It's something that bites you. You really want to ride that bike. And of course we all have safety concerns. I can tell you that my first day in it, in the learner's course in it, my knees were shaking. Because I'm now back on a motorbike in it that I don't know, that I borrowed from the learner's school, of course. Little Suzuki 125, I think, or something in it, right?
Yeah.
But this thing was nippy, I tell you what. You know, you touch the throttle and this thing bolted like a horse, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's at that moment where you have to decide whether you think you can handle the safety aspect of this, right?
Yeah.
And everyone has to think that. And so that's why I'm making such a big thing about the safety in it, because I think that's the number one thing. Yeah. If you get over the safety thing, you follow the safety rules. Yeah. Biking is extremely rewarding and adventurous. Right?
Great for mental health.
Yeah.
Get out there, ride, clear your head, forget everything away from biking. Concentrate solely on biking and where you're going and what's around you so that you don't have an accident. But it will clear your head unbelievably.
And what did I say? There's never a motorbike park outside the psychiatrist.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
So, is biking for you? That's something you definitely have to decide yourself. But I would like to think that through these videos and recommendations in it, we can tell you the things that you could take to heart in it, so that if you do it in a safe way and you follow all the safety rulings and things, then it will be safe for you. Now I'm going to give just a few tips here in it that I have found myself as a returning bike rider. Okay. Number one tip: position on the road. Position on the road relevant to you and the rider in front of you, or position on the road relevant to you and the rider behind you. Okay. keeping a safe following distance, learning to brake with your front brake, because unlike a bicycle where you used to pull the front handle and then you go over the handlebars, a motorbike transfers its weight onto the front wheels, and you do a lot of your braking with the front wheel.
Yeah.
If you slam on the back wheel, you're gonna high side.
Yeah.
Okay. And you need to know when to brake. I'm not saying that you need to brake hard going into corners. You need to do gradual braking with the front brake. And I will also say, we're now jumping onto other subjects as well, but bikes have improved massively technically from the time that I first rode.
Well, we have ABS now.
We have ABS now, right? So my bike's got ABS as well, and that gives you an extra bit of safety leverage there, for sure.
Some people don't like the ABS, they prefer the old way, but unfortunately by law, ABS now has to be on bikes made from a certain time.
Right.
The same as headlights on bikes.
I don't think I want to go back.
No.
I think ABS in it's going to save your backside.
Well, my 650 had no ABS.
Yeah.
My Africa Twin does.
Yeah.
And I noticed the difference.
Yeah.
You know, I've had to pull up, and when you're talking 650 Bergman, back brake, front brake, there's, you know, and throttle. So you've got to ease off the throttle, pull that front, pull that back, and with no ABS, you're going to come around a bit, you know? And it does make you pucker up.
Yeah. And the number one safety rule that I would say to anybody to remember is treat everyone on the road like they're out to kill you. Now that may sound harsh, but if you have that mindset, you look around you a lot more, and you make sure that you stay away from trucks and you stay away from cars, and that basically you're staying out of people's blind spots.
Believe you're a ghost before you become a ghost.
Yeah.
Because
and so,
if you think they can't see you, then you will ride in places where you'll make sure that if they could, they would. Ride with your headlights in their rear vision mirrors. Sit in the centre where, if you need to, where their rear vision mirror is. You know, depending on what sort of vehicle it is in front of you. If it's a Pantech truck, they can't see you through their rear vision mirror. They'll see you through their side mirrors.
Yeah, exactly.
Ride far enough back so they can see you in their side mirrors behind their truck. Things like that. Don't lane split between two trucks. No matter what you think, that's great, you have your opinion. It is really dangerous, because if those trucks happen to get a wind gust and they push it over, you're in there.
Yeah, do your lane splitting and your merging in it when it's safe to do so. And you know, I look at the traffic lights as well. I try and read the traffic lights. If the traffic lights has just turned red, I know I can shuffle forward in it and get past the cars in it and take up the front position I can get away from cars.
That's right.
But if the lights has already changed while I get up to the lights, then there's no point trying to shuffle to the front, because those cars are suddenly going to start moving. They don't expect you to be there.
That's right. They're ready to, the lights are going to change, I'm ready to go.
And here's a motorbike appearing, you know,
either straight through at great speed, which gives everyone a bit of a fright, or
so don't do
an accident.
Just don't do it.
Not everybody stays to the left in the left lane, to the right in the right lane, and gives you enough space up the middle.
Yeah.
Just watch. Just be careful. Just have good judgment.
Yeah. And do it slowly. Don't come bolting through there, because someone decides at the last second to change lanes, as they do.
Yeah.
Okay? And they don't even indicate. They just turn the car.
Yeah.
And there you are.
We're seeing more and more these days that indicators are not being used.
Because they don't fill it with blinker fluid, right? They've got no blinker fluid in. People don't know where to put the blinker fluid.
There's been a shortage since COVID, apparently. So, yeah, people don't seem to indicate. There's probably not enough people getting pulled up for it and being charged for it. But, hey.
So look at your local auto parts store and get some blinker fluid.
And get yourself a good camera for your bike. Whether you mount it on the front wheel guard, or whether you mount it on your handlebars, whether you mount it on your helmet, and you've got a clear vision. Because there's always good evidence if someone does do something to cause you to have an accident.
I love riding with my cameras. I always have them charged, I always have them ready, and I always ride with a camera on my back and a camera pointing forwards.
Hollywood.
And I've also got
More cameras than Hollywood.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I've got actual mounted cameras as well, which I'll discuss in another episode on some gadget stuff in it. But for the navigation system that I have is like a car DVR, so it will record front and back.
Yeah.
I have a button on the handlebar that will take photos in it of front and back.
Really good setup.
It's a navigation system. It's Apple CarPlay, everything in it. So we will discuss that in a gadget episode when we talk about gadgets.
Is that a Temu bike?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't buy the bike on Temu.
No, the Apple.
No. That was off eBay.
Oh, that's an eBay bike.
Yeah. So yeah, we like to buy certain things through eBay, certain things through Temu, and you know, we don't get sponsored by any of them in it. It's just if you're riding a bike, you are gonna buy accessories. If you buy accessories, you want to buy reasonably priced accessories.
Yes,
right?
and ones that work.
Exactly.
Don't buy something that's going to give you low clarity. You're not going to even be able to pick up a license plate when you do need it for court, or you need it to show the police that somebody cut you off and created the accident. You were just merely there at the time. Get yourself something with some good clarity.
At least
good
1080p, even
1080p.
4K. You know,
Yeah.
I would suggest even 4K if you can, but
Yeah.
1080p up.
Well, I think
right?
they're going to 8K now, aren't they? A lot of
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
even 8K, but that is highly expensive to
Yeah.
some of us.
So what ages would we say should ride? What age would you reckon you should ride up to? That's probably the biggest question. I mean, you can ride from a young age.
You can ride from a young age, but I'd say that, and I've heard of people riding in their 80s. Now, if they've still got their wits about them, because not everybody in 80 is going to be like my dad is, or, you know, the old bloke you see that can barely go out and get his mail. He could be quite a sprightly 80-year-old and be quite good with his wits. So, you know, it's hard to say whether somebody at 80 should have their licence revoked or not get a bike licence, or I mean, by that stage, hopefully they've had plenty of experience on a bike.
Yeah.
And can keep riding and have an idea. I mean, some of the guys from certain clubs, and not bad clubs, good local social clubs, are up there in their high 70s and early 80s that ride still, and they enjoy it, and it's their time out, and it gives them the joy that some people might get out of bingo, or somebody might get out of, you know, playing lawn bowls.
It's true, because will you meet other people when you ride?
Yeah.
Heck yes.
Yeah, absolutely you will. And 9 out of 10 of them would be quite happy to talk to you if you start talking about bikes.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, oh, you like your bike? That's a great bike. And the conversation can lead to friendships. It can lead to a 10-minute chat. It can lead to joining a club.
And check your mate.
Yeah.
You know, it's I'm a great promoter in it on touching base in it with your mates. How are you? How's your day going?
Yep.
And in biking world in it, it's just amazing. You just it doesn't matter where you pull up in it. Someone will talk to you because they also have a bike, or they have they
like your style.
they might not even be there on a bike, but they start talking to you in it because they used to ride or whatever, you know.
Or they didn't bring the bike out because they had to bring the family out.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
You know. Definitely a camaraderie sort of adventure in it, you know.
And it doesn't matter whether you have a cruiser, a scooter, an adventure bike, a sports bike. People will talk to people. There's none of this, your bike's better than that his bike because your bike's this, or he's got that brand of bike. It doesn't matter. You're all breathing in the same air. You're all out there having a good time. You're all out there trying to look after, you know, yourselves and hopefully other people.
Now, to my mate Tony in Canada, you know, Tony rides a Harley Davidson, and obviously in the States, you know, they also ride very, very big bikes.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a big following for Harley Davidson even here in Australia.
And
Big
a lot of
bikes,
different
touring
roads out
bikes,
there too.
Honda, big touring bikes,
Gold
BMW.
Yeah.
You know, so what I've seen on YouTube in recommendation, I guess they say, is it's what you can manage physically.
Yes. Yeah.
And
if you drop it, you have to pick it up.
Exactly. And the one thing I would say for the Rebel 500 that I'm riding in it, it is such a light bike.
Yeah.
I can maneuver that around my garage and have no problem at all. Okay, it's still heavyweight in it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But at my age in it, I can still push that around
But
in
it's
it
a
and
good
put it
low
in and
weight.
out of the... Yeah, because it's a low weight.
Yeah.
And I'm not scared the thing is going to fall over, and a touch wood so far, touch wood, it's not fallen over. Okay? It's a low gravity weight bike in it,
Yeah.
and so it's
center of
pretty
balance.
stable.
Yeah.
It's a pretty stable bike. So
Nice.
I guess you need to make a choice in it of what bike is good for you and what you ride at your age in it, right?
And sometimes we don't think, and we just go and buy a bike and then realise that it's a heavy bloody thing to pick up by yourself. A
Yeah,
255 kilo dry weight, the
Yeah.
Africa Twin is a pretty heavy bike to pick up.
Yeah.
But hey, you might be built different than me, and you might find it no problem.
Yeah. The other thing I do like about the Rebel in it, and I'll compare the two in it. I like aspects in it of your African twin bike in it. The fact that I would definitely say if you're going on long adventures in it, that's the bike to have.
Yeah.
For sure. Is my little 500 cruiser in it the thing to have? No, although we're going to attempt doing it.
We're going to give it a
We're
shot.
going to Canberra in it in September, so we'll give that a go.
From Brisbane.
So it's going to be a long ride. But the point here is in it is that I think you need to choose the bike that suits you.
Yes.
Now for me, the Rebel is low. I can just swing my leg over. I'm a tall guy anyway, so I look like a giant in it on a midget bike in it. But it's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's low. I swing my leg over in it, and I don't have a problem getting my leg over the bike in it. On the African Twin, that's a lot bigger and higher to do.
I'm not too long in the legs, and I've got to stand up on the peg and then throw my leg over, and then sit with the stand down on 2 pegs until I can get my left leg back down to kick the bike up.
So, you know, that's something to consider in it if you're going to go and choose a bike in it, is what's comfortable for you. So I would say age is not really a concern, but at some stage you're probably going to say, should I buy a very heavy bike if I'm getting older? And I think the answer there is something you need to answer for yourself.
And I think that's why sometimes people go for the Can-Ams.
Yeah.
They can get off, they can get on, there's no stand. It is a stable 3-wheel vehicle. It's comfortable for them.
Yeah.
They can do long trips. They can do short trips. They can go around the mountains. They can go out in the highways. They can go through the suburbs. But it suits them because they don't have to use any leg muscles to try and get it up off the stand. And
For sure.
pick them up if they fall over.
So yeah, on the answer in it of when's too old in it, well, I'm going to ride until I find out in it when's too old.
That's right.
So that's
till you're
my...
told, or till you decide yourself that it's
Exactly. The kids have flown the nest, and you know, that's why I'm also getting back into biking. And my son sort of got a bike, and then when Dad get back into biking, so here I am. I'm back into biking, and I love it. And I think I'll do it until I can no longer do it.
Yeah.
Whenever that is, and that's an open question. You know, I've seen one on YouTube in it where this guy's got a little stool with a ratchet handle on it, and the stool folds up, okay?
Yep.
So he puts the stool down, he climbed onto the little stool, he climbed onto the bike, and when he's on the bike in it, he picked up the little handle that was on the side of the stool, and it pulled the stool up, folded the whole thing in it, and put it into a pannier behind him, and took off.
Yep.
And I went,
I've seen a bloke
what
do
a
that.
beauty!
Yeah. He had a round, a bit like a upside down, the old medicine glasses, medicine plastic cups.
Yeah.
It was round at the top and it had this.
Yeah, like the concertina sort of thing.
concertina. Yeah. You obviously twist it and it stays sturdy. You stand on that, climb on the bike, bend over, pick it up, twist, shut it down, put it away, off he goes. Some people are just a little bit closer to the ground than others.
Yeah, and you know, this guy obviously was an older gentleman, and I think he just went, you know what, I'm going to ride until I can't ride anymore. And he made a plan even...